1, 2. You're able to hear me? Yeah.
All right, cool. So I usually start my podcast with this. I don't know if you heard this, but this is one of like the ancient instruments.
Okay. What is that?
A lot of cultures have. It's called jaw harp.
Jaw harp. Okay.
Yeah, I just started to have fun. It's like this, watch.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the Bay Vibes, Kash.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. This
How are you?
Amazing. Oh, I've never been better.
Yeah, great. So we are at the startup house.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, this is, let's say it's going to be our first episode at Startup House, or maybe second. Yeah.
No.
So thank you very much for coming.
Of course.
Kash is a very cheerful guy. The moment I met you, I remember just like smile never goes out of your face.
Oh, yeah.
So that is so cool.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bay Vibes.
Thank you.
Why don't we just start off by just talking about you? Why don't you just tell us about yourself a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I think I was just telling about myself to another guy just before this.
Oh, you already?
So maybe, no, I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm just, yeah.
We can skip the about yourself if you don't want to talk about, just on the condition if you have something to share.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'll be extremely candid that I'm an engineer. So
okay, you're an engineer.
For a record, I'm an Indian, so that's not a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah. Either engineer or doctor, right?
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah. So I mean, I started as a mechatronics engineer. It's not a very conventional engineering. So most people do mechanical or computer science or one of those electrical. But I wanted to always do something different. So I took mechatronics because I was a fanboy of like Star Wars, Star Trek, a lot of sci-fi. So I was always curious on robotics and, tech, I was not very gifted. I was always like somebody who's probably above average, I would say, in academics. But I was a little bit different, right? I was a little ADHD, a little, dyslexic.
Okay.
I would actually, I started I remember my dad would always kind of have tough times with me because my teacher would actually complain to my dad saying this boy never writes. He doesn't take notes because, I couldn't because I was dyslexic.
I hate taking notes too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? This dyslexic boy turned into an engineer. My dad was surprised because he thought I would actually never formally get to anywhere, like he was like, yeah, but he was, there was times, I mean, childhood was a little interesting because when you're dyslexic and when you're a little bit, on the side of ADD or ADHD, I mean, you're a little hyperactive, so I had a very interesting time in terms of my childhood. Then I, like most Indians, did engineering, I spent my time in Germany early on because I was fascinated with robotics, got my degree, but I realized I was more of a generalist. So I said, I did have a short stint at Airbus. So one of my first jobs was actually at Airbus, Defense and Space.
Airbus. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a Boeing Airbus?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was in the rockets division. So my job was to sort of spy, on other companies to see like how Airbus can acquire them, so I was in the corporate innovation side of things, and that was a very short stint. But my boss, she was very inspiring. I mean, she went on to become an entrepreneur. So she said, Kash, you're meant to do your own thing. That's what she said. This was my very first kind of job. This was probably in 2013, about 13 years ago. When I fresh out of my grad school in Germany, and she said, Kash, you're meant to be a founder. You're meant to be a founder. And that changed my thinking. I kind of took a leap of faith, and built my first startup, which didn't really do well because it was not because it was the first startup, but it was in Germany. It was, we failed because of many reasons, but it was essentially an AI back in the day. Like it was machine learning. It was a startup that actually was in price intelligence in e-commerce. Like how do you kind of give an intel to sellers selling on e-commerce, right? So that's where, I mean, the story goes on. So, I mean, so that was my very first, I would say, dig at, being a founder, right? It was back in 2013 or 2014 with my good friend who was in my grad school as well in Hamburg. And he still works with me. I mean, we still kind of have been, he's always been my CTO, my co-founder for most of my later ventures. I went on to do more ventures, more experiments, so that was, of course, after that, like I went back to India and built an education company. It was an EdTech company. This was my second venture and probably my best venture so far. It's been sort of a 5-year sprint marathon. And we built like one of the very early AI companies in education back in India. So when nobody really was talking about AI back in 2015, 2016, we actually started looking at how do you use AI in education. Right?
How does AI different? How is AI different from when you were starting to where it is right now? Could you have predicted?
Yeah. I think back when I think we started AI, calling it AI, right? It was more machine learning. It was actually not AI. It was more like, doing some sort of classification, some sort of regression. So bunch of math, right? Bunch of algorithms. But now AI has gone into more LLMs, right? Foundation models. It's essentially more complex math. Like you talk of transformers, you talk of all of these things, right? So it's essentially like math. Like AI, the foundations of AI is very much machine learning. So back when I think we started 2017, 2018, the peak of the time, we were dealing with, prediction models, like predicting something, like, for example, suggesting a path to a student to learn better. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Question off topic. Were you always this cheerful, like smiling person?
No, I think people do call me that I have a F face. I don't know if I can use the F word, but I have, people do say I have a boring face, but they do say I have an F face. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm usually a guy who loves to have fun. So I do love my pun. I love having.
What do you do for fun?
I live.
Yeah, right. That's the fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I live every day as if it's my last, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like, is there any like hobbies aside from your profession that you do, or
Yeah,
is your profession or is your projects are all hobbies?
No, I know it'll be the most boring thing to say that my projects are my hobbies, but yeah, I do love doing very normal things. I love cooking. I'm very passionate about cultures. I do travel, so I don't have any formal like fancy hobbies, but I do love doing normal things, right? I cook, bake, meet people. I love new languages, so I keep learning something new. I'm a polyglot, like I speak like 6 languages. So
Nice.
yeah.
Which ones could you?
English, Telugu, which is my native tongue, Hindi, a little Kannada, German, Deutsch. I lived in Germany, so I speak
Kannada
Deutsch.
is also
Kannada is also an Indian language. Yeah.
Deutsch and what else?
Deutsch. Yeah, that's it. I'm learning Spanish now. Espanol.
Nice.
Yeah. That's my latest. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Kazakh. I know Russian. I know English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're also a polyglot. So, yeah.
A little bit. I grew up knowing 2 languages, right? So I heard like when people that know more than one language develop a little bit differently, because language is almost like a different world, right? It's like a code to the culture. You start exploring, like it's a different way of thinking too. Like the way I think in English is completely different than the way I think in Kazakh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the culture is so weaved in to the language. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Also, I think you brought language, right, which is a very interesting topic because all of our LLMs
right now
they're just language,
right in
right?
the middle
they're
of
just
that
language
LLM
models,
stuff.
right?
Absolutely.
Large language models. So yeah, I think it was funny, right? When I was in Germany, my times there learning Deutsch, like one of the things about language is we, being an Indian and, so we think always in our mother tongue, right? But we speak in a foreign tongue. And it becomes very tricky when you actually kind of learn new languages. You always kind of are default thinking in your own language, right? And the words and the meanings are different. Imagine like you talk of hallucination in AI, and this is really hallucination, right? When you actually learn foreign languages, I think one of the first things you see is like you can't just translate like literally like what your mother tongue is. So that's one of the first things I felt in learning Deutsch is you cannot just make an English translation to Deutsch. It's not like English to Deutsch, though. I think one of the first translation things we all used was Google Translate, and Google would do a pretty bad job actually, And when I would go to Google Translate to go to my German friend,
Absolutely, yeah.
and say that, they used to laugh at me.
It's almost literal
It's
translation.
literal, yeah.
I feel like in order to learn a language, you need to be accepting of the culture. I feel like that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, in English, I have my wife and me, right? We live here for 15 years, but she's so like, how to say, attached to our own native culture. She never really integrated with the local culture. She did in a way, but in a very like business way, right? As long as she make money, make living off of it, that's pretty much her. But on the other side, me, I'm curious about the culture. I'm curious about different aspects of life, right? How people live. What are their perspectives? Whenever like you hear an opinion or some point of view, I try to be as much as I can, like understanding. Like, where are you coming from? What are the reasons you think certain way, right? And then it also gives me perspective of where I'm coming from. Why do I think certain way? Yeah. So I feel like in order to learn language fast, you need to be just curious about the people that carry that language, and then you try to emulate them. Like you see certain like phrases that they say, I'm like, this is the context in which they say certain phrases, and like you try to understand that. Yeah, and feel that. Although I'm not in no way expert, but I feel like that helped me a long way for sure. Yeah,
I agree.
So now we are in the midst of this large language model thing. So the polyglots like you and me might have an advantage.
Absolutely,
right?
Finally, there's something that's worth, right? I mean, of being a little different,
And what's interesting, what's different about this language model is like it knows a lot of languages, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of a different of approach, but I was thinking like the prompt engineering is almost like understanding the language of these language models, right? So you need to be curious about what this language model does and what are the motivations or what are the, I don't know, certain blocks or weights or whatever they have, to kind of align. Have you noticed like different language models have different alignment, instructions?
Yes. I think the way I was, I was listening to Aravind of Perplexity yesterday. There was an event, he said something very interesting, right? So while we are talking about, a lot of science behind language, like how the construct, like grammar, modeling it to make sense, right? I mean, there is a point of time, right, where logic and intelligence is no longer going to be hard. Like it's there. It's a commodity. It's already a commodity. So the only thing that is left, right? Again, coming back to the language, the construct that you built on, is the only thing that's left for humans is actually to reason, right? The questioning. So, and this is what Aravind said. I mean, very interesting that there's a culture in Perplexity that he said that they believe a lot in like questioning, right? And asking the right questions. So it's no longer like, hey, can you memorize like that formula, like some math, like some crazy equation? It's the ability to kind of ask the right question. Because AI with the language, it has made it so seamless for people not really having exposure to science or math or the STEM education to use the power of it, right? And that's what the foundation model with the large language model has done, is it's given power to people who know the language. It doesn't matter which language it is. If it's an English language large language model, then you can query, you can ask, questions in that language and get anything, pretty much anything, right? And today, the way AI is progressing, I think one of the things you should see is that it's no longer like knowledge is all gone, intelligence is also gone, because now it's the future is all about people who are curious and can ask good questions. Just to bring back your point,
Nice.
right, on curiosity.
That's what we're
the
doing,
real that's the real token now.
Yeah. I guess one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is the content online is going to be just predominantly AI. And I feel like a need for human interaction, just a regular, good old-fashioned human interaction, I feel like is still going to be valuable.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons I still want to do this. Because imagine just like this context is gonna like the content, AI content is just, it already is like just starting to accelerate so fast. It's gonna be exponentially just a lot more AI content.
It is. I think the content is something, right? Like, I think my take on content is that while you use so much AI, right, to create the content, right, and just to check, right, this is not AI generated. I mean, it's a real human talking to another real human, right? Try talking to, Kashyap, right? So the beauty of this setting is that, a human talking to human. I think 50 years from now, do you think humans will still do the same? But 50 years now, this content created today will still be relevant, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I hope so.
will still be most likely, right?
Yeah.
And then this almost infinitely many combinations. I think this is where I think the human angle comes in, right? That AI can still hallucinate and do whatever it can, but humans, on the other hand, like are really good at storytelling, right? I mean, we built a construct here. In the next, I think, few minutes, we'll kind of come up with something fluidic, and the last 10 minutes we did something fluidic. We didn't really think of this, right? So this is the real kind of value of intelligence in motion, right? You see that this is an AI play, right? Imagine if an AI really had to do this, right? And this is infinitely this particular thing that happens right now has infinite combinations, right? So the content will always keep growing. So that's why this is unique in the state and time we are in.
Yeah.
I think this is unique. Absolutely.
So there we are. Let's talk about investing. I mean,
the money.
You said you're an investor, right? And investing is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Where did it all start? Like, how did you get into investing?
Wow. Yeah. I was just waiting for you to ask this question. Yeah. So finally you did. Okay, cool. Otherwise, this is a wasted podcast.
Right. Nobody's asking about
finally,
investing.
Finally you're marketing and promoting your cause. So I'll tell you, I think, so I've been a founder, right? Most of my life, good chunk of my life, which is the last 15 years. Right from the very beginning times of experimenting, being that experimental founder to, doing serial founder, right? I mean, I have sort of built 4 to 5 ventures. I think the reason is it's kind of also a little bit of a path from other VCs that, it's not a common thing. There are different paths, right?
Did you start off as an angel or?
Yes, I did start mostly a small kind of round of investments in known companies, I understand. So I'm a SaaS founder. So I made some small bets in SaaS companies, very early stage companies. And, so I kind of have been doing it for the last, several years in marketplaces, been in Robinhood, Gusto, some of these platforms where you can actually start getting the feel for it. But I think my 2 cents on how I kind of see it as an investor is, I think there is a classic model. They say the 220 model, the 2% of management fee and 20% of carry. That is a classic VC model. And I believe in a operator-led model, which is, I being a founder, and I'm not a a B school guy, talking about money and hedge funds and investments like of billions of dollars. I come from very hands-on experience of actually building startups. That's all I know. You know, I know like the struggle, the 0 to 1, like how do you raise the first round of funding, which is usually the hard, it's a hardest of all right. And so my mission is to help founders like to not make the same mistakes I did, right? And my mission is very clear, right? If I can help a bunch of founders to kind of be their companion, be their like partner, right? Then you are kind of causing an impact, right? So I see this whole mission of being a VC is not like as somebody with the money or somebody who's just investing, but somebody who's actually creating a societal impact through the bunch of startups, early stage, bets you're taking. It's not the bet of the money. Money is also an important aspect, but it is the bet on changing the path, creating an industry, right? I mean, sometimes you're making bets on companies that have shaped the industry, right? So you're an instrument in kind of causing the shift. And that's what fascinates me.
So you're also trying to innovate in this VC, like the way the VC work,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
I've heard it's like very old school.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the VC model, started probably around 60s, as we know, and it's been pretty standard, right? 2% and 20%, right? So, and ever since the pandemic, the classic VC model has been on a decline because they're not been getting enough number of exits. IPO scene has gone down. Like not many companies are going to a public offering. There are more secondaries and more private equity than a classic VC model. So a lot of VCs are not able to give the stories to their LPs. That's the reason. I mean, the stories of like those returns, the multiples on initial capital invested, or performance of the portfolio. It's a very, I think the model has almost like been burning. It's not a model that will kind of thrive for the next like decade or so. So there has been a shift. I think you're hearing a lot of venture studio models. I don't want to again, make it a generic venture studio model. Like I think I have a very different opinion on how venture studios run because every venture studio has again its own model, right? So I kind of call it like an operator-led VC, which is basically like you sort of become co-founders to the startups you are building. Yeah.
And given your experience in these all various startups, you think you can have a valuable input in the startup. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on again the team that you choose and like how much hands-on experience you have on it, like building it, raising the capital, going to market, getting the right advisors, having the GTM play, so everything matters, right? I mean, what's your product motion? Like, are you doing a PLM? Like, so I've taken like a very strong bet on a thesis that I believe in, which is the next, I think the 20 years or so is going to be more healthcare. Like I personally have a thesis for it. A lot of people are talking about AI in everything, right? Pretty much every industry is going through transformation. Like there was a period of digital transformation, like when internet came in, Web 2.0, and then now we are in the AI transformation. And my personal conviction is that healthcare is at least just in the US is like a $4 trillion, right? And it's much bigger than the GDP of countries like India and Germany. That's how big healthcare in just the US alone is. And it's going through a lot of shift as I kind of interact with people around, like in healthcare. And healthcare is broad. Like it has pharma, the big, that's where the big money is. It has the medical devices, it has the hospitals, like, and guess what? It also has people, which is the most neglected, right? I mean, most of it is to actually make sure people live long, they live healthy. So my thesis is that, I'm going to take bets like on moonshots and some of the most disruptive tech that will not just extend human life for the health span, I mean, for the lifespan, but also the quality of life, right? There are a lot of people, with bunch of things, right? For example, people with diabetes, to the people with hypertension, the people with cancers, there are multiple diseases. And what got me very excited about my thesis and building this venture model is that there are a lot of companies being built in silos. And the way I see this model of mine to be different than the conventional VCs out there is most of the VCs bet on industries, they kind of put money. And I have a thesis in my fund that we build an operator-led model, which means we actually have a platform. We had a full stack VC, which means like we actually kind of can make repeatable sort of ventures and can build for an ecosystem. So we're not building just one product at a time, but we are building a set of solutions, a platform approach where 20 or 30 or 40 startups can kind of benefit from the shared wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So in Silicon Valley, right, or if you look from the outside into the Silicon Valley, you hear a lot about startups. Like the story of startups. I guess it's very appealing to hear the story about the founder, about the idea they're pursuing and stuff like that. But I don't know, for some reason you don't hear about another important part that actually makes it all happen is investors, right? Because that's the symbiotic relationship between a founder and an investor that makes Silicon Valley what it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of people know this part of the story, but not a lot of people know what it is.
Yeah.
What's the story of the like an average or like an investor, right? Like a VC investor, be it angel or a VC investor. What are the struggles? What are the challenges? And what are the motivations of an investor? Like obviously, a lot of people will say that would be just money, right?
Yeah.
But
that's
arguable, right? Because if you're risking your capital for such a risky endeavor, that means there's something on top of just monetary gain.
Yeah.
Right? Could you talk about that?
Sure. I think it's a good question. I think it's a very deep and very nuanced question. So, and also you're right. I think there are a lot of content on and people talking about the struggles of a founder, but nobody really talks about the struggle of building a venture fund, right? As a VC, first time VC. So I've not been a VC before this. I've been in the path of the VC. This is new to me as well. So some of my very recent and most recent observations and my own reflections of the path I've chosen is when you're building a company as a founder, right? I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's a very thankless job, and you cannot really, you'll not see success. You have to give your good amount of life, like 5 to 7 minimum years, like mostly at 10 years, right? I mean, it's a commitment. As a VC, the commitment is almost 2x more, right? So because you're building a fund, I mean, it's almost like building 10 startups or 20 companies or 30 companies at a time. So imagine like the difficulty of building one company at a time and multiply that by 20. That's what you do as a VC. And it doesn't end there, right? I mean, so you're telling a story to people with money. As a VC, what do? There are only two things that you need. One, you need source of capital, right? So you need your LPs. You need limited partners. Who are these LPs?
Do you have to have capital yourself?
You can, but a lot of VCs don't. I mean, so that's a myth, right? It's a common myth, right? Is a VC a rich guy? Need not be.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah. So you can be a VC. So I'll tell you, right? So who's a VC? VC is a fund manager. The simplest way of putting what a VC is without jargon is a venture capitalist is a fund manager.
Is it similar to a broker? Like
I mean, yeah, broker is probably, yeah, I mean, you could call so. I mean, you could,
they're managing somebody else's, like they're managing just people's money.
They're wealth managers. They're wealth managers, and they take, the difference is, you're betting on people's money. And the trust that you need, the level of trust you need to build for people to trust you with their money. Because people have options, right? I mean, they can go to markets, they can invest in hedge funds, they're like investment bankers, you have options, right? I mean, and if you're a new fund manager, you're an emerging fund manager, you are basically like, it's so hard to get trust, right? You may be a very successful founder, but that doesn't really make you a good investor.
And then also the approach to a different people
Yeah.
has to be very catered to that person, right? Like interests of different people could be different. Some people just want money for their money.
Yeah.
Some people want to be part of something that is
Absolutely.
like going to be big in future, right? Or something big. So
Yeah, you're right. I think so. I've been like talking to a lot of LPs, for my fund as well. Not all LPs have the same motive, right? Some LPs, as you said, they want to get a return, right? I mean, they want to get like obviously every LP is investing money because they're not doing charity, right? Ultimately, it's a fund and they need growth. They need
it's
to
the
see.
name of the game, right?
That's the name of the game. That's as simple as it is. I put X. Can I get 2x returns? Can I get 3x returns? So the multiples, right? I mean, you need to multiply that. However, like when you actually also go to certain LPs, there are family offices, there are institutional funds, there are like big angels, there are so all sorts of LPs. Some of them do have mission, right? They are mission driven. They want like to solve, for example, since I work in healthcare, some of them solve for cancer, right? They're not doing charity again, but they still have some objectives, right? They want to put funds so that it's a moonshot for them, but they really want to back something disruptive, right? Maybe the results will come in 15 years or 20 years. It's going to be a long cycle. So it depends on essentially like what is your thesis. Again, I come back to that as a investor, as a new fund manager, as I'd call it, you got to be really honest. You got to be really grounded with your thesis. And I think the feedback that you get from the market will tell everything. So I had a very interesting start as last year when I started. My thesis was to build everything in healthcare AI, and today, like after a year, like I decided through a lot of feedback again through LPs and through people who have done it, right, and people with the money to invest. The clarity and again the sort of focus on a very specific versus a broad area, a broad category, right? Anybody. So again, this is the most debatable thing. I mean, this itself is a pretty interesting topic, right? How do you choose the sector?
Okay.
And how do you kind of get focus in it?
Yeah. And then yours was healthcare.
Yes.
Could you dive deeper into like why did you choose healthcare? Like personally, like why does healthcare matter to you?
Yeah. Wow. It's a I wouldn't lie when I don't have a personal mission or I don't have like personal people suffering or none of those stories. But I think my thing is simple, right? I mean, I said like, what can I be seeing in the next 50 years that is more disruptive than anything else? So nothing inspires me more than healthcare, because when you look at things like the new medicines that would cure cancer, for example, or new tech that will make you live forever. There was something in longevity. So when you look at longevity of how can you improve the quality of life, how can you make people live a more satisfied, more long life, right? That's personally very inspiring to me. I must say, like my insights on how I look at different other industries, because I always felt I was generalist, which means I'm, though I do have some specialty, but at the end of the day, I believe in first principles, and my first principles, when I put them, I felt healthcare was probably the most interesting, because there's no end to it. It's like an infinite amount of stuff that you can keep on building in the next frontier, right? You have diseases, you have you have healthcare in terms of access, you have rural health, you have senior health, you have healthcare for special needs, then you have like the most I would say the frontiers in terms of developing new drugs, right? So healthcare is so broad. It's like, and that's something that fascinated me. It's not purely the money, it's the amount of innovation that you can bring in to really kind of build things that can change the way we look at things.
Yeah. But it has to do with healthcare, which means like people will live better quality of life. People will live longer lives.
Yes.
Right? Is that what interests you? And then
better quality and long life, and precisely.
Including mental and physical health.
Right. And spiritual too.
Spiritual health.
Spiritual too. All dimensions of health.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I was always fascinated by people that went into healthcare because I'm personally not at all in healthcare at all.
Yeah.
My mother is in pharmaceuticals,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess there are just type of people that are like healers or have like this compassion for healing.
Mm.
So it was always kind of I'm curious, like where are they coming from deeply? Because there is also a philosophical aspect to it, right? Longevity.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to longevity, do we really want to live longer lives?
Mm. That's a good question.
How does that actually affect the rest of the stuff that we're so used to?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a deep question, right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Good question. I mean, that's a deep question. So,
But
Yeah.
on the higher level, you're like, I think it's cooler to live longer life because
yeah.
when you're getting older, you don't want to die early. So naturally, you want to live longer.
Yeah.
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 But I always ask myself a question: do I really want to live to 150, or do I really want to live to 200 years?
Yeah.
Because that has a lot of repercussions, right? What if some of those people that you care about pass, and then you're just by yourself, just moving along in this world? But do you still care about things that you care right now? That's a very like philosophical questions that just come like piling up on top. I don't know. Very curious.
Yeah. I think it's a
Uh-huh.
it's a deep question, right? I mean, before asking like how long you want to live, you have to ask like what's your purpose of life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
why do you want to live?
Mm-hmm.
It's before you ask how long you want to live, it's also wise to ask like why do you want to live,
Yeah.
right? So
And if you
yeah.
can fulfill your purpose within the lifespan
yeah,
that is shorter than
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, so the other day I was talking to someone at Stanford, and there's this longevity thing that I'm actually doing a course there, and just to learn more, right? So somebody said an interesting sort of an observation is humans should be given a choice to sort of end their existence, right? In the future. So it's like you can it's more like switching off and switching on, right? So every time you wake up from sleep, you're almost like alive from the dead, right? You look at even not spiritually. I mean, that's also the biological thing. Your system shuts down every day and it wakes up.
I heard
Isn't it?
there's this city in India
Yeah.
where people go to die. Have you heard about that?
Is it Varanasi?
I don't know, but like
Yeah.
or some like really like deeply like meditative people can just die on demand, just like all right,
On demand.
I'm done with this, like I understood everything.
Yeah,
It's time for me to pass
know.
to a
Yeah,
next.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like when I first heard about that concept, I was like, is that considered a suicide or no? Right? Because
No,
it's a next level.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're doing suicide, you're doing something that you not necessarily want to do, but it's just like you kind of like cannot bear the heaviness of this world, and then you do something drastic, and maybe by the last moment you regret it, but it's already too late, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, you can basically deliberately make your life stop. And that was like the fascinating concept to me. Wow, people can do that. Like, imagine you just lived like get to a certain point of understanding, like to that point of understanding, by saying like, all right, I think it's time for me to keep on, going exploring something else. Oh, I don't know whatever the motives might
It's
be.
time to pass.
Yeah,
You say like
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It is. It isn't crazy. I think it's. I think as biology, right? I mean, when you look at basics, right, of cells or like basic biology, right? Anything that has life or anything that has the perception of existence, right? I mean, it always wants to keep existing.
Okay.
That's the very natural sort of tendency. And the reason why we age, there is, the concept of aging is because the cells go through a certain process where they start slowly getting, old. and there is senescent cells, which means the cells slowly start getting damaged, right? That's why you get all the wrinkles, you have pain across, so, and then gradually it fades away. Like when you see the entire process of a human life cycle of, when the time they're born, when the time they go away. And now we're talking of longevity, essentially talks about like how do you reverse it, or how do you, it's like the movies, right? Like the Benjamin Button,
Yeah.
right? How do you, when you talk about that, like it's a little playing God, right? It's almost like, hey, I don't want to grow old.
Yeah, it's another philosophical
yeah,
question.
it is a very deeply nuanced question, and I don't think there's one right way of looking at it. It's very perceptional. Like there are people that really want to go on and on and on. And there are people that are done. So it's all this. You cannot just have a theory that works for all. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah, you could argue like people maybe should have a choice whether they want to go on or they want to pass on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that could be
that
should be like a matter of choice.
It's more like you will switch off your computer or you would not, right? I mean, it's like a toggle button. Tomorrow, imagine like you can switch off and switch on. Imagine like a cryogenic, right? I mean, you can just freeze your body for 10 years and say like suddenly I want to be alive again.
We have people like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that froze themselves.
Yeah. That tech exists. I mean, we're not even talking about sci-fi. That actually
are there
exists,
cases that people would have been waken up from that?
I'm not sure though. But I was like looking at the
news,
cryogenics for human. I mean, there's still, I think the tech exists, but I don't think it's only in the movies, I guess, for now. But I think they're trying to make it work. And they say that it is possible. It's not like very ambitious. It's not like the time machine, at least. So the cryogenic, tech of freezing the human body.
Another avenue with this, right, is preserving the consciousness or kind of like saving or transferring the consciousness to like, online or some other places.
Yeah, I mean,
that's another way, right?
Yeah. In simple sense, I think people say it's downloading your brain.
Downloading, yep.
Yeah, it's like just get a dump of your brain, right, and put it on a machine. That's also there's a research. I mean, that's people at Stanford, Berkeley. I think all the good top institutions. I think a lot of the labs I think are trying to actually sort of see that. But I think guess what, right? I mean, human brain has like about 100 billion sort of neurons, right? I think we make like a sort of 100 trillion connections, I guess. And we have about 70 billion. Yeah, I think we have about 70 billion sort of, neurons. And we make like potentially 100 trillion connections. And the best the foundation model is like a fraction of it. So one human brain, like amount of complexity that the brain has is still much, much, much more like multifold exponential than the best AI state of the model we have, which means it's just one human. Imagine multiply that with all the humans, right? That's the complexity. Imagine if we had to do a download. We don't even know how to really do it. I mean, we do not have the right metrics, the right definition of that, the right scope of it. But I think that is again pretty disruptive and scope for I think multitude of products that could come out of it. Slowly, I think there's a startup I think in the Bay, which makes like neurons, and it creates an intelligent system based on like neurons, human neurons. We're not even talking of artificial neurons; they are real neurons, right? And it plays a game. It plays Pong, and so it's a biological machine, right? I mean, it's basically cells, neurons, basically in a computer.
Wow.
So I think that's where I think we are slowly getting the convergence of machine and humans. And that's fascinating too. But so far, we've always looked at machines as in isolation. I think today when you look at exoskeletons, when you look at prosthetic arms, where people like losing their limbs, the next frontier of tech, and this is what is exciting to me as well, is the coexistence. It might look scary to some, but to me, like, why not, right? I mean, if that is what makes you feel more content, like more joyful to be alive in a state of like operationalizing, right? I mean, you're kind of, you're able to function, right? If you're not functioning with whatever things you have, then there's no point of living long with just meds. So the only way, I think, this is what I've cracked, man, finally. The only way humans can actually survive is not being human, but by sort of converging with machines, right? Robots, machines, they're not different.
Yeah, if you notice, like the world tendency, right? Majority of people almost like programmed to create AI or robots. We're always curious about that. When I was little, I was always curious: are we gonna create robots? Are we gonna be able to, create something that is
Yeah.
like smarter than us, or like something like us, or something closer to us? We're almost wired to do that. So
Yeah.
it could be part of the design. We are designed to create something more stronger, because due to this form factor that is kind of almost limiting in certain ways. So how can we extend that? And I don't know, like how to make that
Yeah.
consciousness a lot more
Yeah, I
longevity
hear you.
wise.
I think,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think I think to sort of, one of the things is, even very early child, right? I mean, has a natural instinct of playing, just the simple thing of, somebody playing with a toy is the instinct of like creativity, right? I mean, you want to take something, right? I mean, how many of us, I mean, as a kid, right, you would take a toy and you would just go around it, right? I mean, today when you do path planning, it's a concept in robotics. You do basically child's play, right? I mean, you're just going, I mean, taking some object and going traversing, right, across a path, right? And you're teaching now using AI the same thing to a robot on how to probably pick this and place it there. What's a child's play is actually rocket science to a robot, right?
Yeah.
When you have to teach it. So I think the instincts, you're right. I think the way of looking at it is what's easy for us is hard for a robot, and the vice versa, right? I mean, what's easy for a robot is very hard for us.
So it's coexistence,
And
like
it's
you
quite, yeah. I think the way things are going in terms of robotics is one, you have the robots for the Earth, and now you have the robots in space, right? I mean, there are like bunch of interesting robotic applications in the space station, like helping astronauts, to fix something in the space station. So we are looking at, of course, a lot of homes now will have more robots to cook, clean, to help people. Then you have all sorts of, home robotics, personal robotics, soft robotics, and I think it's inevitable. I think how Jobs and Gates, right? They started this whole personal computing when folks like IBM said like it was a joke, right?
Yeah.
I think now we are finally in the era of like robotics now, right?
Yeah.
Every household will have a robot.
I recently heard about this.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask like 5 years ago investment for robotics, everybody will laugh at your face. Now
Yeah.
everybody is like, all right,
Yeah, everybody
robotics.
wants to put millions of dollars. I was also looking at a physical AI. Now it's called physical AI. Now everybody, all the hot, I mean, that's hot. All the VCs want to put the money there. And the reason is simple, right? I mean, robotics, obviously, it's not because it's fancy and it looks cool. Once upon a time, it was a robot just that would dance, would be fun because people would be like, hey, look at that. It's cool. It's making a move, right? But now I think that hype is now gone, and we are out of the hype cycle now, and that's reality.
And with
reality
the
looks,
LLMs
yeah,
are like developing exponentially.
yeah. While AI has all exactly right, we are at that quintessential point where the AI, the foundation models, you have like all of the foundation, the bedrock for a robot actually finally to work, because robots require a lot of compute. Like you have NVIDIA that's making the state of the art chips. The GPU movement has created like ton of opportunity for AI companies, and AI has created a lot more, opportunity for robotics, right? So it's all coming together now. Yeah.
So, do you code?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do vibe coding now, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm an engineer too. Yeah.
Here's the thing about the coding, right? So we have a hardware, and then we have a firmware, right? And then the firmware is like the base layer is binary code, right? And then you build abstraction layers on top of it, right? Assembly language, and then like
Yeah.
what is it, C, and then
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Python, right?
Yeah.
So we tried to make it easier for you for the coder to
Yeah.
code.
Mm.
But now we have this AI, LLMs,
Yeah.
that you can potentially just prompt to run to just generate binaries.
Yeah.
So we're basically removing these abstraction
Yeah. Yeah.
layers and
Yeah.
just straight up outputting binaries.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I think when
debuggability is weird, right? Will be different.
yeah, I think today I was talking to someone in security. So one of my startups is actually in cybersecurity for the AI age, which means there's so much of code, millions of lines of codes written every single day by AI, right? That's going to lead to a lot of problems, and that's a lot of opportunity too, right? I mean, I'm happy because it gives a lot of work, a lot of clients to the startup I built as well, right? So I think just to kind of give the same example, right? We spoke about what's hard for a machine is easy for a human and vice versa, right? In the context of abstracting code, you have the low level and the high level code, right? So low level is machine assembly level language, the hex codes, the zeros and ones, the binary systems, and the high level language. You have C, you have like Python, you have all the other languages, right, which were written at a high level. And that's now the abstraction layer has gone a step more, right? I mean, step above, which is what's the high level language now? It's like natural language, right? I mean, the language we speak is how you code, right? You no longer need to write those formal language codes, right? I mean, 80 to 90% of engineers
You don't
now
need to
don't
understand
code.
syntax, right?
Yes, the syntax. I think the era of syntax finally, thanks to AI.
Yeah.
I think most people don't write syntaxes now, but it's still, I think, despite a lot of vibe coding, like thanks to Cursor, Claude, all of these, AI code generation platforms, it has reduced the man hours or the developer hours to build products significantly, and which also led to opportunities, right? I mean, you can build more, you can build faster, you can actually, everybody is a coder now, everybody is a builder, right? The moment you have an idea, you can actually build, but then there is a whole kind of, AI generated code mess, the chaos, because
Technical depth.
that's a huge thing too, technical debt, and AI generated code is obviously a lot of refactoring, right? Needs to be done because you just prompt and it keeps writing ton of components, libraries. It becomes very bulky. Most of it is not useful, right? And now there is a huge role. I mean, I hear a very funny role called debugger of AI generated code, right? Basically somebody who can unmess the mess that you created because you used the AI, right?
Code.
Yeah, that's a new role. I mean, and then you have a fascinating amount of security problems because AI generated code needs to go through audits. I mean, you need to see the security aspects of it as well. So,
So the security portion is probably very much.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fascinating. Cool. All right. How many? It's
Yeah.
53 minutes, right? Cool. I think that was pretty good. What do you
Was
think?
it? Yeah.
Did you
We
enjoy
had fun,
yourself?
man. Yeah, we did. I mean, it was nice. I think there's a lot of things. I think you made me think about a few areas like longevity, and I think they're deep kind of aspects.
I don't mean to change anybody's mind. It's just my personality. I've never been into healthcare, and philosophically, I sometimes I think why do people pursue healthcare? And in a lot of ways, I came to conclusion it could be just almost like a life mission. You're born with it, because you either born with that or not. I have a feeling like that, or maybe you had that traumatic experience that led you to pursue something like that. It's a healer. I call it healer. Right?
Healer.
Yeah.
I kind of feel. Yeah, I think I agree, and I think both healthcare and education, right? I mean, these two fields. They're extremely mission driven, right? I mean, unless you're a missionary, right? You got to take a cause and you have to run by it. And unless you have that, I think it's very hard to get into it. I would say my reasons are different. As I said, like, my reasons were
The opportunity.
the opportunity, and also to see, and my personal goal also to kind of become more healthier version of myself, the curiosity, because I'm driven by curiosity. And I see that healthcare is one thing that is infinite, like, opportunity to do research. And it would never, like, cease to surprise me that, you've got all the world. I mean, and it's also a personal selfish intent for me to not live forever, but to live a quality life, right? I mean, always wanted to kind of have a better quality of everything I kind of had, and that's how I kind of got into healthcare, to personally kind of have it as my mission, to have healthier habits, to have, like, to grow into a healthier being, and also to have more consciousness, because I'm also a deep thinker, right?
Yeah. If we think back a little bit, I feel like the quality of life of people on Earth drastically improved. Right? People live longer.
Yeah.
Compared to maybe like 100 or 100, like 200 years
Well,
ago.
yeah, I think they say, right? I
And
mean,
then the amount of diseases.
Mm.
What's interesting is like the more you heal, the more like also like different diseases. Like it's almost like endless, like a snake eating its own tail type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
the
I
more
mean,
problems you get, different problems.
true. I mean, yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying that's. I'm just contemplating like.
Yeah.
Like the more complexity, some of these diseases are become like a lot more complex. You need like large language, like large AI models to like for like
Yeah.
research these
You need a
cancers and
biology model, you need a chemistry model. I mean, these are all science models, right? I mean, there's a lot of companies. I think OpenAI has built a different thing called Merge Labs. They're actually doing research on foundational models for bio, for, like, there's also a Stanford company called SuperBio that does biology foundation model, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the reason why it's so fascinating, right? I mean, you can actually, the two ways, right? You can kind of feel like you've really understood it, like your purpose of life is one way, is physics, right? When you ask questions like, where did it all come from, right? The Big Bang Theory to all of those quantum physics, to understand like Higgs boson and all of that. The other way of looking at it is like to see cells, to understand life, like what do you mean by life, what do you mean by consciousness, right? And the whole point of intelligence, and to me, like, because I'm a curious guy, and the reason why I got more fascinated with healthcare also is also that it gives you a lot of room to do a lot of contemplation, like self inquiry, like to go more deep on not just the purpose of life, but to actually enhance and better, like, somebody else's life, right? In a absolute sense, not just for diseases, in a holistic sense. And that's why I think, as I said, right, I mean, it's not about the length. I mean, it's not the lifespan. You're right that, back in the day, like, people lived for 40 years, then slowly 60, then, you now have, like, people living 80 as normal. People now want to live 100. There's so many centenarians, people who live for 100. And they say, like, there's this fund called NFX. NFX says, like, 160. They have a longevity thing, and they say, like, it's 160, right? I mean, the lifespan of humans. And they say with all the new sciences, it's maybe possible.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I can I can resonate with your statement of like people have. It's good if people have choice.
Yeah.
If they choose to live longer, it's good
Up to
to have
them.
that option. If they,
Yeah.
it's good. It's probably better to have that option.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you very
Cool.
much, Cash, for
Thanks,
coming.
Nurtai. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was a pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Bye.
Bay Vibes.
Thank you.
Oh,
I know you were, like, coughing, right? Even
I don't know. Something is like.
Stuck. Yeah. But it was nice, man.
I forgot to grab my water.
Yeah, I had it, but it was fun. It was fun chatting with you.
How was it?
It was great, man.
Thank you.
My first behind the scenes